Well, hello and welcome everybody. Welcome to the Lights Out F1 podcast. This week we've got Bottas beaten off the line, Vettel flat spotting on turn 1 and the Works Renault chasing the customer car around Barcelona. And we're going to talk about all that and more here on the podcast. Thanks for joining us. I think, what are we up to, episode 5? 6? 6. So, yeah, we've been kicking them out every Grand Prix week, so I hope you guys are enjoying them. My name's Josh, and of course, Dr. Aussie's in the house with us tonight. How you going tonight, and how you feeling?
I'm good, Josh. How are you tonight, mate?
I'm not bad. Yeah, we've been talking a little bit about F1, about Spain. It was an interesting one for probably the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I did tell you earlier today, didn't I? I think F1 is really testing us at the moment since China. It's on the level of excitement that is being provided.
Yeah, China was a struggle. We thought we wouldn't get a podcast out of it, but we did, thankfully. But yeah, Spain, it was first, because it's like the first European race for here in Australia, so it's like it's getting quite late, 11 o'clock. And I think from here on in, it just gets later and later and later. So, yeah, if you're new to F1 and this is what you're seeing, it's going to be hard to sort of convince someone to hang around, isn't it?
Well, that actually is a little bit worrying, isn't it? Like for the casual fan who's just tuning in and who isn't hardcore as us.
Yeah.
I can't see too much there that's going to be keeping them enthralled and glued to the TV, especially at midnight.
Yeah, midnight, 1 o'clock, wherever you are. If you're in WA, I know you got it lucky. I used to live in Perth. It was kind of cool over there, being 2 to 3 hours behind the rest of us. But yeah, they always think in Perth that the East Coast, there's like a conspiracy against the West. It's weird. It's weird, dude. It's something they always talk about. But trust us, the East Coast guys do not hate the West Coast. And I tell them this all the time. We don't even think of the West Coast. You do, yeah. You don't think of Perth ever. It's just one of those things. So
let's not lose, our Perth listeners from the few that we have at the moment. So
welcome Perth, welcome Fremantle, welcome whatever you are, Albany and all. It's a nice part of the country. Anyway, let's get on to Spain. We're in Europe, and tonight's we're going to call it "Pit Me When You Can." It was Vettel begging to get rid of tyres after flat spotting them, like I said, into turn 1. We will come to that. We're going to start at the qualifying run. It was Bottas 2.0 and his monster quali lap. Absolutely blitzed it around the Spanish track, and he beat Hamilton into pole position.
By 0.64 or something, wasn't it, of a second? It was a monster lap. I think he was the only man in the 15s, and that definitely has to be our first light out tonight.
Blew me away how quickly it was, and I was pretty quick to get on the blower and say the championship's called here and now. Bottas 2019 F1 World Champion. I've said it now on the podcast. It's official. You
have called it.
Yeah, I've called it. I know he didn't win, but I still, that's what it is. But yeah, it was just a quick lap. Ever since, like you said, since episode 1, the mongrel in him's come out. He even looks happy in that picture, even though those, the picture of them with the trophies. He always used to just look a little let down. So I don't know if he was impressed or happy with his results in Spain. But
he's only 7 points behind, so
he's not a long way off. And he won Baku. And So what did you think of? I guess Bottas during that.
Did you see Bottas going through the lap when he sat down with Jenson Button? Jenson Button had a sit down with him on the pre-race show and went through the quali lap, and even Bottas himself said it was just a perfect lap. He did not even pinch a tyre, into the downhill braking left-hander.
Yep.
He couldn't have done it better. He said himself he couldn't repeat it. I think the margin, the 0.6 whatever it was a little bit misleading because Hamilton himself on his quali run was actually only about 0.2 off Bottas coming into the last sector, and if you watched it, he actually lost about 0.4 of a second just coming through that last chicane. Like, he just went in a bit deep, and
he
lost
really
most of his time
fighting the car. Like, he was doing it all weekend, but especially noticeable during the qualifying run.
That's just Hamilton for you, isn't it? Like, his
But he
car
was
can be
quicker
skady and know
still
him.
quicker than the Ferraris, and that Mercedes was looking like a wild ride. That was crazy.
Oh, let's talk about those Ferraris later, eh? But they just...
No, I know, but it's got to be mentioned.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they were out-qualified by Max.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Gasly, what's Gasly doing? But anyway, that's a different story. But Honda's obviously working for him. Bottas on the lap of his life, beating Hamilton. And then it was funny, on their second run, no one improved their times at all. I don't
Again,
think.
that might have been Hulkenberg's fault, though, because he brought all that gravel all over the track and
That's true.
they couldn't push in that last sector. So, pretty much quali was over and done with the first runs. Bottas nailed it.
Yeah, Q3 was all good. I mean, the only thing that really stood out apart from Bottas was Ricciardo getting into Q3 for Renault, which, did it surprise you? It surprised me.
Yeah, he did well, actually. I mean, he only just made it through into Q2, but then he actually moved on to Q3, which was a bit of a surprise there. And to no surprise to me, Stroll missed out again.
Yeah.
No red flag this time, Josh.
No red flag. We didn't get you didn't get an extra point either for Bottas. I just remember.
No, I didn't. He didn't cry.
No.
Like you said, he was smiling.
Yeah, he was. He was very happy. But I think that brings us into light out. Sorry, that was light number 1 being Bottas, and light number 2 for the 5 lights out, 5 lights on. The Renault customers beating the works team, and it was so obvious all weekend because we had. Was it Ricciardo chasing Sainz? Or, if my memory serves me correctly, for most of that race?
Yeah, well, he overtook him. Then he got pitted.
Yep.
Then Sainz immediately passed him on the hotter tyres when he came out, and he was just looking at the back of the McLaren for lap after lap again from there on. And it is getting a bit
But even in qualifying, they were better. Like, they just seemed better and faster.
I told you last podcast, I think McLaren are really on the up. They've definitely got their crap together. Definitely. And now it's almost like they've swapped positions with Renault.
Yeah. Well, I know, like, it's weird, isn't it? Because Renault were like, it was a 5-year plan, wasn't it, to begin with? 5 years to a championship or something like that. Because I think they've gone off now and poached people from Ferrari and Red Bull, if I'm not wrong, to, I don't know, help them design and research.
I don't think personnel is the issue. I don't think money is the issue. I mean, they're a factory team, for God's sake.
Yeah.
But
that's why they should be beating the bloody customer teams.
Like, at the very least, they should be fighting there, you know?
Yeah,
like
they've got a good engine, rather, because the McLarens are up there giving the midfield a good hustle. And they're fighting for points. I don't know. I don't like, because I wonder if it's just an issue they haven't. Like, I don't know if it's like, the wind tunnel not translating to the real world, like happened with Williams. I think it was last year for a lot of it. They were stalling with their aerodynamics. So
that's what was happening before they could. Even McLaren had the trouble with their calibration in their McLaren.
Yeah.
I mean, in their wind tunnel when they were having their issues, and then they sort of sorted all that out. But
yeah.
I honestly think you'll find that the biggest problem with a lot of these teams is the tyres. They're just not able to switch them on.
Right. Yeah, it's been such a minute change technically, but it's meant such big changes out on track. And I think, like you said, turning on the tyres has been a struggle. Like Ferrari have struggled turning on the tyres a lot of the time.
Every team except Mercedes is struggling.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
With the tyres.
I don't know what it is about
and
Mercedes.
Everything else, actually.
Well, Mercedes were struggling to turn the tyres on for like a day, and then they somehow figured it out. But I just wonder what the problems are at Renault. What can be done to fix it, if any? I guess it's like you said, it must be, figuring out how to activate the tyres and keep them within that green zone for the
Well, like we've
most
said
possible
before,
time.
they are fighting to not be last. They're just lucky that Williams is just nowhere.
Oh yeah, bloody Russell, and Russell's doing his best, I guess, but Kubica has been nowhere. That's for damn sure.
I can't remember the exact time now that you brought it up, but he actually smashed Kubica in qualifying, I think, time-wise. Like, I think it was over a second, the gap. Have you got it there in front of you?
I don't, but it is something I can bring up.
I just, I remember noticing it and saying, geez, that's a big gap.
So,
here,
we're
I've got it
talking
right
about
here.
qualifying?
Yeah. So, in qualifying...
Yep. Let's have a look. Russell did a 1:19.072, and Kubica did a 1:20.254.
There you go. So a 1.2 second difference. I don't know. Did Kubica lose it anywhere? I don't recall him making any major mistakes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I remember at the time thinking,
like, it's not like
wow, that's not acceptable.
No, it's not, because Kubica should be equaling or beating Russell's times consistently, and he's not. And he's not done it for a long, long time. P3...
Or even if not, a 0.2 or a 0.3 difference is probably, an acceptable gap. But when you're talking half a second to 1 second off your teammate, and in this case more than a second...
Let's see where he was. Kubica did not get into the 119s at all that weekend. Can you believe that? I've gone through all the sessions, and he's only hit a 120 in P1, a 120.7 in 2, 120.5 in 3. Qualifying, he did a 122. And race, he did... Oh, it doesn't have it here, but... Yeah. That's pretty bad.
We'll have to keep an eye on that, but if that keeps up, you can't keep going on with that, man. You're better off just bringing in another rookie and let him get the seat time. And
exactly. I think I asked you this last week. Does he bring a lot of money to the team? I'm not he might bring some, but there'll be some rookie out there, or even a bloody pay driver that's coming through. There's some really good drivers in F2 that. What's his name? Even give Ocon a chance. Ocon, I know he's within the Mercedes sort of ecosystem.
Well, he is. He's a Mercedes driver, but at this point, I don't even know if that's a step forward for him stepping into that Williams or not. No, but at least it will keep him relevant.
I always wonder, I think this should be light number 3 because we've gone on a little bit now. But I think we'll make it light number 3 on the fly.
Yeah, we've switched there.
Yeah, we have, but that's fine. What was I going to say? Yeah, with if you look where McLaren used to be a few years ago, and now where Williams are, and then now where McLaren are, because McLaren are now improving out of sight. Williams obviously need to make a few changes, and then obviously they can turn it around because McLaren did it. And McLaren seem to have really recovered really well.
They're really stuck in a rut. I mean, there's some positivity coming out of the team itself. They seem to be a bit upbeat this week, and they were confident with the changes that they've made to the car. And in actuality, when you look at Russell's time, it wasn't that bad. It's just if you isolate Kubica, it's disgusting. So I think that's the difference there that needs to be sorted.
Yeah.
Because let's not forget, they've got the best engine in the business as well behind them.
Yeah, they do.
And
I know.
lap 20 of the race, Hamilton lapped both of them. That's just...
Lap 20.
So we're not even a third of the race in.
That was a third of... about the
not
third
even.
Of the way through.
Yeah. And they were lapped on lap 20. I made a note of that. I went, best engine in the business, and they're getting lapped on lap 20.
Jesus, that's embarrassing. Well, whatever it is they need to change, they need to do it soon.
And mind you, we're not at Spa where it's a 2-minute lap.
No, we're at... Yeah. Yeah, good point. I get what you're saying. All right.
So that's Williams for you. I don't know what more we can say to him. It just keeps coming up because it's just... They need to start really doing better, but I don't know if they are going to be able to do anything better before the new regs, and who knows what the new regs are going to bring too.
Exactly. So that was on the fly. Point number 3, the Williams dilemma. Let's go to number 4, Norris. First real blemish after out-qualifying Sainz, and it was the first time Sainz has been out-qualified at home as well, which was an interesting stat.
Yes, I put
he had
that as
collision with Stroll. Sorry,
that's right. Yeah, the collision that brought the safety car out, the lap 46 or something it was. Did you see the accident? You obviously would have.
Yeah, I saw it. It sort of livened up the race a bit, because it's sort of, at that point it was pretty much straightforward. We knew Mercedes were going to win it, and I'm pretty sure Verstappen was settled for third. And then it was sort of just it wasn't even a battle between Ferrari at that point. We were just watching, I think at that point we were watching all the midfield battles happening.
Pretty much.
Yeah, because I was like, and it's safety cars, because it obviously brings everything back together again. I was like, will we see a sprint race to the end? I know you made a comment of it on Discord, but it didn't.
That flopped, didn't it?
Yeah, it did flop. I was a bit disappointed.
What was your thoughts on the actual crash itself?
When I first saw it, I thought Stroll should have given Norris a little bit more room on the inside because he was there. They were wheel to wheel coming into turn 1, and then turn 2. I know Stroll was ahead and he's got the advantage, and he's got the line, so you'd sort of expect Norris to drop off. But I still thought Stroll should have just given a bit more room on the inside, just to avoid something like that happening. But that was just my opinion. I know they both avoided a penalty, but I don't know what you thought.
I kind of agree with you on your analysis of it. I think I agree that it was just a racing incident with what the stewards ruled in the end. I mean, I don't think either or deserved a penalty for it. I think it was just definitely a bit of a rookie error from Norris by keeping his nose in there. He was already half off the track. I'm pretty sure his left wheels were either on the rubble strip or even off it.
Definitely on the curb.
So he had no track there. So he really probably should have backed off.
Well, I thought of
but
him
at the same
that.
time, Stroll just came straight across into the apex as if Norris wasn't there. That
was my big problem with it. I was like, the dude was already off the track, sort of, like you said. And I was like, if you would have, I don't know, if you're in that, it's not natural to back off at that point when you're on the apex like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Correct.
You're already on the inside. I know he's got his nose up there, but I'm like, it's not sort of instinctive to back off at that point. But being Stroll, I think Stroll should have just, he turned straight in on it, and I was like, what were you doing? Anyway. Well,
like I said, I'm granting Norris the rookie card, but now Stroll, this is his third year in F1 now, and he does have his few supporters out there, but he should have just known just that little bit. I think it was avoidable, and if anyone was going to avoid it, it was Stroll.
Yeah.
So I just
no. Well, I don't really blame Norris for doing what he did. I just because if I was in that situation and I was Norris, I would not expect Stroll to do that. I would not expect any driver to do that unless I was playing Formula 1 2018 online. But
in a public lobby.
Yeah, in a public lobby. But we're not playing that. We're not playing. They're racing in the F1 World Championship, it was just... to me, again, I thought it was a racing incident, but if there was any blame, it was just Stroll just was really aggressive at taking that apex when he knew someone was potentially there. But
that's my biggest point. I mean, at the end of the day, what were they fighting for? Was it 12th and 13th?
It was. I don't think it was much. I can't remember.
And I don't want it to turn it. I don't want it to sound like I'm just a full Stroll bashing here. I'm just saying he didn't need to yield. He just needed to just give half a metre more room and just still make it around the corner. Squeeze him, but don't hit him, man. Don't just pretend he's not there, that he's just gone and disappeared all of a sudden.
I'm all for the squeeze. I do it all the time when I can racing online. People hate getting squeezed, but If you're that guy in front, you're entitled to do it. You just got to remember that they might be on your inside when you go to turn the corner. So, racing
that
incident.
was what brought the safety car out.
Yeah, it did. It did.
And then we got all a bit excited that, yes, we're going to have 15 laps of excitement at the end of this race. And then the safety car just stayed out and out and out. And then that was lap 46 or 47, and it didn't come in till lap 53.
Yeah, like it was. What was the hold up? Was it just getting the field together after all the pit stops? And I was really tired at that point. But
well, initially the hold up was the clearing the two cars, but it wasn't a massive accident.
No,
so
that's what I mean. Like
it really shouldn't have taken that long.
It was a quick tow job.
Pretty much. But then we also have to wait for the lapped cars to unlap themselves, and we need to wait for them to come and catch up to the back of the field before we can start racing again. And that's where Crofty's point, and I was just telling you earlier, that I actually agree with. I mean, he was saying that he'd like to see the lapped cars just pull to the side down the main straight or whatever and just drop to the back of the field rather than being released to go right around the lap and catch up again. They're already a lap down. So that would definitely at least save at least one lap, maybe two. So
yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, because it's just change. You know, like people just hate change. Like, I don't know, because I sort of like seeing the cars get a chance to get unlapped and then fight again, even if it doesn't mean anything. But if that did happen, it would mean, what would that have meant? How many cars would we have had sprinting to the end anyway? It wouldn't have changed anything, I don't think. But
no, it didn't change anything. I mean, as soon as
it just meant we would have gone to racing faster. That's all.
Exactly, that's all I'm saying. Instead of waiting till lap 53, we might have been able to start racing on lap 51.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I think it should be something that they sort of, I don't know. I wonder if the FIA can test it somewhere in a. You know, I don't know. There must be somewhere that they can try these ideas out, but
Formula E.
Hey, that's not a bad series. That was a good race at Monaco. You should have watched it.
One of these days, I might.
But what was I going to say? I can't remember now. I totally forgotten. Anyway, but yeah, like the safety car thing. It's an interesting idea. Something I think I'd like to see in action, and then I don't know sort of what the effects would be for those behind, but I don't know, because you know how you sort of get that sprint race in lower series is where they all have a chance now to, you know, get an overtake, 2 or 3 people. You know how then you get another accident? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You get like like say Formula E or not E, bloody hell, why am I saying that? Formula Renault
F2.
Or something like that. And you get like the guy in 10th charging up the inside up into a corner, and then there's another bloody safety car 10 seconds later after the restart. But it might even stop things like that happening. I don't know.
I mean, as soon as the safety car dropped, Lewis just pumped in a 118, and he had like a 5-second gap, so there was no challenge for the lead. He was on it. But speaking of that, one of the guys from our league, Sean, he brought up a very good point that I actually noticed at the time, but it didn't click. And I haven't heard anything from the FIA or anything official. I don't know if you noticed or even saw it on our Discord server.
Yeah, I did. Was he talking about how he was weaving?
Yeah, because the rules are, and I thought that was the case, that once the lights out, I was thinking maybe once the safety car pulls into the pit lane, there's no more weaving, but it's actually once the lights go out, there's no more weaving. And if you notice, he was actually weaving just before he got onto it, coming into that last chicane. So, but none of the officials seem to have noticed or said anything about it. I've seen nothing about it.
Is it a written rule, or is it one of those like rules that we all think's a written rule, but it's not actually there? Did you actually find it?
One of the guys sent something through today, and I believe it is a written rule, yes.
Right, because I remember a few years ago watching the Bathurst 12-hour, and they were talking about the same thing happening, where
and the guy got penalised, if you remember.
Not this instance that I'm talking about. They were weaving. It was the start of the race. They were weaving under the before the race start under the pace car, And apparently you're not supposed to do it at some point, but like no one got penalised for it in this instance. But it came out that like it was something that people thought was a written rule, but it's actually not. So, but Hamilton was really up the bum of that safety car as well at the start of it. I just remembered. Do you remember how close he was getting on the onboards?
Yes, at one point he was like almost under the car, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was
under
like
the rear
next
bumper.
to it. I was like, "What are you doing, mate?" Because I just think every time a safety car comes out, he's like, and if he's leading, he's like, "The safety car's too slow." Anyway, that's just
every single time.
That's just what Hamilton does. So.
Speaking of the safety car, I mean, why don't they have something that's a bit quicker? I know that's a quick car, that black AMG or whatever that is that they're using, but
yeah.
Can't they rig up some sort of a race car that can actually go even quicker?
It might,
and have two people in it.
It might just be a sponsor thing. It could just purely be down to sponsorship.
Well, what if they got like a AMG GT3 race car to be the safety car or something, just so they can go around a bit quicker, so the Formula Ones can, keep the heat in their tyres.
I mean, it makes sense to me because they look like the road car, but then you're like, you're not selling the road car. I don't know. That it could just be something simple like that. But okay, well, I agree. You wonder why they don't have something a little bit quicker, but whatever.
Let's move on to the last light and fifth light out, and I want to ask you the question.
Okay, go for it. We're on the fifth light, by the way.
This is the fifth 1-2 in a row. Yep. Is it Mercedes dominance or Ferrari incompetence?
It was Ferrari incompetence, and now it's Mercedes dominance. And Ferrari aren't helping the case either. They're still just screwing up strategy and pit.
They are constantly doing my head in. And I'm not a Ferrari fan by any means.
Don't worry.
But
doing everybody's head in. Absolutely everybody calls them out on their stupidity. And I don't think you need to be a Ferrari fan to just sit there and watch them and you're like, what are you doing? Like, because they're like, I don't know what they're... it's just dumb. Just dumb.
Really, just dumb. That is what I call it. They are just dumb.
Just dumb. Molto stupido.
We had Vettel, obviously in the start, which we didn't talk about, where they went 3 wide into turn 1. Vettel on the outside locked his right front, I think it was, and flat spotted it fairly massively, that he was whinging on the radio from about lap 10 or 11 onwards. He was begging them to pit me. I need to pit. I need to get rid of these tyres.
Well, he had massive vibrations. So he probably couldn't even see the track. He was probably shaking that hard.
And then they left Leclerc behind him. Then they finally let Leclerc past. And then they pit Sebastian at lap 20. So they let him suffer out there for 9 laps at least.
Yeah,
with a 4-time world champion.
On the slow tyre and leave him in front.
You got a 4-time world champion begging you, saying, I need to get rid of these tyres. I need to get rid of these tyres. Find me a gap. And then in the end, he even said, I don't care if you put me out in traffic. Just pit me. And then finally they pull him in. But the race is gone. I know they were never going to beat the Mercs.
I wonder if...
They need to realise they were racing Red Bull.
Yeah, they were. Well, they were racing Verstappen.
Yeah, true.
It's not Gasly. Gasly, I don't know, give him a few more races, but Verstappen's just too quick, isn't he? He's just absolutely too quick.
I think you got a little bit of a case here where Verstappen is actually on point, man. He is just killing it at the moment, and I think he's actually out-driving that Red Bull a little bit, and Gasly is just way under-driving it.
Right. So I think Gasly's not a bad driver, but...
he just seems slow. He was 0.6 or 0.7 off 0.6 or 0.7 off Verstappen in qualifying, so that's a fair gap. There's no way Ricciardo would have been in this race that we just had going on previous form. You'd have to say that Ricciardo would have been just behind Max or even possibly just in front of Max. Both Red Bulls would have beaten the Ferraris this week.
Oh, yeah. Back in, with Ricciardo in it, yep.
100%, I say.
Yeah.
And then you've got that stuff up in that first 20 laps where Ferrari have basically given the race away right there. Then they come to the second stops. And then
no, that's what I was saying. Then they pit
Seb's
Leclerc
on the faster tyre. And
and they leave Leclerc in front.
For how many laps? 5 or 6 or 7 laps? They don't understand. Like, it does not make sense.
And Crofty, it's Leclerc, mate.
Please, can you email him? So, what was it? Lap 36, they finally say, okay, let Seb pass. So he gets past, and immediately he's like a second faster than Leclerc. But 3 laps later, they pull him into pit because his tyre's already stuffed.
Yeah, I know.
So, it's just, where is the strategy? Just dumb.
I don't know. I don't know who their chief strategist is or what the case is there. Because I know Mercedes use like they use a computer program to work things out.
You'd have
Whatever
to think they
Ferrari
all
are
do.
using, just stop.
A HB pencil and a rubber?
I think that's better than what they're using. At least, because at least, I don't know.
I know I'm getting a bit animated here, but I mean, they are honestly just dumb. Like a Ferrari, mate. You know, they've got all the money in the world, they've got all the people in the world, and they just can't understand the race unfolding in front of them.
Yeah, and I don't know what I just. No, I get your frustration because they're such a. Like, the team's got such a history and such a passionate fan base, and the Tifosi and everybody else behind it. You just like, and Maranello, and you're like, what is going wrong every weekend at the track? What is it you need to fix? Like, I would really like to see under the hood just to see how that operation's running, because something is terribly wrong.
They keep telling us, we just need to unlock it. It's just not coming together. Yeah. And on the other side, we've got the German team telling us, they've got the quicker car, but we just, we're switching it on at the right time. Mate, I think they are full of shit. This weekend, we've had 5 races now, 5 different tracks. Mercedes are clearly the best car on the grid by a mile.
Mercedes every weekend. Ferrari are really quick. We're just, we don't know how we're going to beat them on the weekend. And then they smash them.
Toto, you're a liar.
Just shut up, mate. Just tell us you're quicker. Like, it's interesting. The tyres, brakes, I don't know. Strategy.
Look, you said tyres, and we also mentioned them earlier, that Mercedes are the only team who are actually able to use them at the moment to the maximum. And do you remember last year, I think Spain was one of the races. I can't remember the other 2. There was 3 races where Pirelli altered the thickness of the tyre to what it is this year. And
yes.
And Mercedes took advantage, like it suited their car better last year in those 3 races as well.
Yes, I do remember that. This
reminds me of the era of the Schumi era when Bridgestone were building the tyres specifically to suit the Ferrari. Granted, we had 2 tyre companies warring then, so you could understand it. But in this particular case, why would Pirelli just make tyres specifically for Mercedes?
Yeah.
I don't...
That's a conspiracy that could go on for days.
Yes, but I thought of that this weekend. I thought, wasn't there 3 races last year when we had the thinner compound tyre and Mercedes really shown as well?
It could just be a massive coincidence that whatever Mercedes were doing then...
This is Formula One, man. I don't believe in
note of
coincidences.
No, but they could just go... Like, if you're Mercedes and Pirelli go, this weekend we're going to use next year's tyre, and you realise it's freaking working, you're going to be like, hang on a minute, remember that, because next year, that's what we're using. So you might... Like, it could just be Mercedes just being smart.
It's
because they fluked it in having something to work, because they were struggling before that, and they were like, hang on, next year this is what it's going to be like, and like they've already got a massive jump on the rest of the field, and that could just be what it was.
I don't know. Maybe there's something going on there, because like you said last podcast that you actually like it that the tyres are creating all this, but I really think I'm not liking it, because I don't like at the end of the race all these teams saying, well, we couldn't switch the tyres on, so therefore we can't race. Then you've got Haas saying, we don't know how we're going to be at Monaco because we don't know why we're fast this week. We switched the tyres on, you know.
Yeah,
like
Haas
it's just a lottery. Like, and
Haas
that's not
massive. Like, they were just going so. I mean, you make a good point. Like, yeah, you don't want to race where none of the, like, you've got Mercedes who like, oh, we know how these tyres work and we know how to use them, and the rest of the cars are just trying to get to the end of the race. That's not fun.
That's what's pissing me off so much about Ferrari and their lack of strategy and able to race, because they're robbing us of a race. Like, forget Mercedes, they weren't going to catch them this weekend, but they should have been racing Max. We should have seen a fight there, at least for third.
Yeah, well, Ferrari can easily do it, I reckon. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. That's probably why we were all so pissed off.
What's all this doing to Vettel is what I'm wondering as well. I mean, he seems to be strong to the media and he doesn't seem that downbeat, but surely it's got to be playing in his head. I mean, even that Turn 1 incident, it's probably him over-driving and trying to compensate for the car.
Yeah, well, it's not like him to lock up on the first lap into Turn 1 and then have a flat, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't do that. That's not something
he just knows.
Does.
He just knows that, you know, that was his chance.
Yeah, he just screwed it.
He was on the wrong side, but he had to give it a go, man.
He did. It didn't work, and this is where we are. We're talking about it now. Well, I think that's our 5 lights out. 5 lights on, 5 lights out, guys. Hope you've sunk your teeth into them nicely. Now we've got the checkered flag section where we can wrap up the rest of the weekend and the rest of the news that has come out. And one very interesting one I think I want to talk about is Zandvoort, confirmed for 2020.
Did you see that tonight? It just came through a couple of hours
popped
ago.
Up on my phone.
Yeah, so it's actually been confirmed, but in the confirmation I didn't read anything there that it was replacing Spain, but that was the rumour through the weekend.
Yeah, I was looking at. I was reading it. Like, where's this fit into the schedule? Because isn't Vietnam coming in at 2020 as well?
Yes, it's under construction at the moment. So just for the guys that don't, if you haven't heard, Dutch GP, it's an old track, Zandvoort.
It's on Assetto Corsa. If you've got that game,
it's they've confirmed it. So they're going to give Max a home GP.
Yes. Well, I think he deserves one. But there's going to be so much orange there. It's just going to be insane.
Can you imagine?
The beach is just going to be lined up. There's probably going to be party on that beach, and it's going to.
It'll actually be an amazing race to go to. I think
it'll be so good. Just trying to think. There was also that terrible incident back in the 70s, wasn't there? Was that the last race they had at Zandvoort when the fire happened? And I forget who.
You're coming over the hill, but is it still the exact same track? No, it's shortened now, isn't it? Though.
Yeah, it's different. But what the issue was then was people couldn't get in contact with each other to tell someone. Yeah, so I mean, a lot's changed in F1 since then, but those images are burned into my brain. I remember watching it on a documentary, and I was just like, "Oh, that is just that was horrible."
For sure, we'll start seeing some of them again now with the race being confirmed. So we'll probably start getting a bit of Zandvoort history over the next year.
Yes, that's true. Some sad stories. But what was I going to say? Yeah, because we've got Zandvoort, Vietnam. Is Miami confirmed?
No.
No, it's not?
No.
So that's
I believe Miami's been rejected, but there's another proposal on the table. So
right. So there's 2 new tracks, and we've already got a full schedule. Something's got to go. Spain's one of them. Do you think Silverstone's going to go too?
No, I don't think Silverstone's going to go. I think they're very close to a deal if it hasn't been confirmed already. But
I haven't read anything about it. That's all. And I just know how worried they were last year about keeping it.
Every time Silverstone comes around, there's always the talks of it going to be, taken off the calendar. It's too expensive, blah, blah, blah. But I think that's one of the stalwart tracks that won't be going anywhere. I don't think so.
Well, I think at this moment, because I haven't heard any news, if they're going to get rid of 2 tracks, I'd say Spain and Silverstone, just because of last year's news. I mean, I might be wrong, and we might find out that it's something else, but just at the moment, that'd be my best guess anyway. So,
me personally, with Spain, I don't know how I feel with it being off the calendar. I mean, it's never been known I'll spit it out in English in a minute, for providing a good race. Because the drivers know it like the back of their hand. As Crofty says, it's usually 2x2 Noah's Ark around there because they're practicing and testing pre-season.
Yep.
So if it is dropped off the calendar, I hope they actually keep the testing there and they don't move testing to another track that we race at.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'd like to keep the testing at Spain.
Because it's well known that it's a perfect track for testing because of the difference in corners and the straight. So let's not take testing to France, for example, which I've heard mentioned, because I think that's part of what makes it a stale race, because they know the track so well. I prefer them to just train, if you like, test somewhere else, and then let's not race at that track.
Yeah, I don't think a testing track should be a Grand Prix track, but that's just my opinion.
That's what I feel like.
Because you sort of like, you get Spain twice, because you get the excitement at the start of the year, and you're like, yes, we're in Barcelona, and then 4 or 5 rounds in, you're back there again, and you're like, I've seen this already. And then, I mean,
let's be honest, the Spanish Grand Prix, you could do away with all of FP1, 2 and 3, jump straight into quali and the race, and the result would probably be exactly what we just had on the weekend, because the teams know it so well.
Yeah, true. Like, we wouldn't need FP1, 2 or 3. They were even, like, that came up in Baku as well, because they were talking about how, how the first session was stopped because of, was it the first session because of that drain cover?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, FP2 wasn't it? And it was abandoned because of the drain, yes.
Yeah, and then you had a massive red flag there and it was abandoned. And then FP2 did something, I can't remember now. Something happened.
No, it was FP2 that was abandoned.
Yeah. So, yeah, FP1 had a lot of red flag and there was hardly any running. FP2 was abandoned. FP3...
I think so.
And then, so you just had the one on the Saturday and then the qualifying. And then everyone was questioning, like, why do we need the Friday practice session? But it's because of ticket sales and things like that. Money.
It's the only reason, because they want track time. They want the people going to the races to see track time. But I'm of the belief...
The drivers don't need it.
No. But they want that for the spectators. They want track action, is what I should say. They want action on the track for the spectators. But personally, I think just extend the Saturday practice session and then jump into quali and the race. Maybe put FP2 or something else on the Friday, because, like you're saying...
we should have a sprint race, man.
Yeah,
I reckon we should get 2 races.
I think that's another topic for another day. I'm not sure Yeah. That's FP2, man. I mean, not FP2, sorry. That's F2. That's,
Yeah, but like qualifying's... I always find qualifying the more interesting part of the weekend. But, yeah, like I said, another topic for another day. But we'll remember that one. So if you've got any comments on that, let us know. Podbean, Spotify. Where are we now? Apple. We going on Google?
Not yet, not on Google. There's some new Google Podcasts apparently that's coming out that's not available in our country yet.
Right. Okay,
I have to wait for that. But we're also on Stitcher now. So
Stitcher? I've never heard of that one. Is it good?
Okay. I use it, so...
Okay.
It's pretty big.
I believe you. That's why I leave you in charge of getting us out
If you want it on any other platform, let us know, guys.
Yeah. If there's something you want it on, like I said, let us know and we'll get it done.
I'm just trying to pick the biggest ones and get them on there. So Google is the next one on the hit list, but we're getting it out there.
Now that was our checkered flag. Have you got anything else you wanted to wrap up?
Mate, I just had to mention Max. He's seems to be definitely more mature to me this year. I think he's taken on that team leadership role. I think not having Dan there, it's somehow taken the pressure off him a little bit as well. Like he
totally
seems
would have. totally would have.
I think so, because I think he was always striving or stressing to always, be on the edge to beat them, whereas now he seems to have maybe come down a notch, but in actuality, it's benefited him.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't seem to be making those last-minute defensive moves or just those... He doesn't seem as aggressive on track, which is sort of working in his favour, I guess.
Like he's driving calmer, but faster.
Yeah, well, that's usually what happens, isn't it?
Exactly. Like even at turn 1, see, like an old Max, he could have caused a bit of carnage there at turn 1 this weekend.
Could have been front wing damage or something.
But he backed off. He took his time. He worked his way around both the Ferraris and just drove a superb race from there.
That was beautiful. Bottas almost got squeezed as well.
Did you see the tank slapper that Bottas had?
Oh, yeah, he did really well to hold that.
That's right.
Really, really well. I was impressed at that. But, yeah, he just was never able to catch up to Hamilton after that, unfortunately. And that's where we ended up. Now, that's the checkered flag that's going to end wrapping up the Spanish Grand Prix. And the S3 awards, the S's stand for Superstar, Surpriser and Stinker. Three points to Superstar, 2 to Surpriser, -1 to the Stinker. Now, I did mine at last minute, but I think I like them. My Superstar for the weekend has to be Verstappen. I don't know if you agree.
Okay.
I just think he drove a great race. He got the best position he possibly could have. And I think just everything came together for him.
Like I said, I think he drove a superb race, but I actually gave the 2 points to my mate Kvyat this week.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he did really well in qualifying.
Yep.
And in the race, he did that awesome pass on Raikkonen. I don't know if you saw it. I think it was turn 8 or turn 9 around the outside.
Yep.
It was a great move. I mean, he was the only one really passing a lot of cars on the weekend. And he kind of got stuffed around in the double stack pit stop because he came in, but the team thought it was Albon coming in. So then they had to quickly rush to get Kvyat's tyres out. So that cost him a fair bit of time. So he might have actually jagged the P7 or at least the P8. So I think he had a great weekend.
No, that's a good point. He did. And I think he seems to have just relished the return to Formula One. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, well, I've been telling you from the start, I want him to do well. And, I always thought he was hard done by. I always thought he had some good speed. I don't know if Red Bull will recall him to replace Gasly if Gasly keeps tanking it, but they really don't have anyone else at this point.
No, and I think they've got a good driver in him. Now, my surpriser, only because of his performance in qualifying rather, but I had to give it to Sainz. And being in the McLaren and just everything else, he did well. I thought he did really well. He just surprised me. I don't know why.
Okay, even though Norris was ahead of him in qualifying.
No, that's what I mean. Like, because Norris was ahead of him, for him to finish where he did in the race, I thought he did really well. That's why I was surprised.
He did. He even when he crossed the line, did you hear his radio? He said, "Well done, guys." What did he end up finishing? P7 or 8? He got 8, didn't he? And he said it was great to get some points even with no pace.
Yeah, well, that's just how he was.
Yeah, he did well.
Sorry, surprised me, man.
There you go. I didn't really have a surprise in the race, so just not for the surprise factor of it, but for giving 1 point, I had to give it to Max.
Okay, fair enough.
I didn't really have a surprise in the race. I struggled with giving out these awards for the race this time round.
Well, it was a bit of a dull race. I'm going to be honest.
I did, like I said, from China, then Baku, now Spain. They really are testing us, and I'm a Monaco lover, but I hope people aren't expecting too much in the race there.
Oh, well, yeah.
Now,
what
who
do
was
they
your
call it?
stinker?
Recession. Stinker. Now, I thought Stroll, I thought Norris, but I was like, who really deserves this minus point this week? I think it's Perez.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I just think he...
Was he there this weekend? Did he race? Did he get any airtime? I don't remember even seeing him.
I don't recall him even being there at Spain. Like,
that's a fair call.
It was just a non... Yeah, it just wasn't any good. I just think I just think Perez has a lot more in him, and yeah, he just stunk this weekend. That's my opinion anyway.
You bring that up, and I think Racing Point, full stop, was just a disappointment this weekend, considering they were bringing major upgrades to this race, and it was their first real car, and so I don't know if they just haven't sorted it out yet.
Yeah.
Or what the story was there, but yeah, you're right. Like, Perez was nowhere pretty much.
Stroll was doing even better than Perez. Like, Stroll was getting more airtime and things like that. But yeah, Perez, I think he came 15th at the end of the race, and Perez should be doing a lot better than that. But it could, if it's down to the team or the upgrades or something else, I don't know. But I think Perez is better than 15th.
Definitely.
So that's why I think he's the stinker.
Okay. So here's your minus 1 point.
Yeah.
My stinker for this weekend, as I said through the race, I just thought everyone had a pretty average race all around. I mean, obviously Hamilton did well, but as stinker goes, I had to give it to Hulkenberg, but mainly for the qualifying. And not because he put it in the wall, but because he dragged shit all over the track and then ruined the second runs of Q3. So for me, that was a stinker.
Yeah, well, like you said, it ruined the qualifying second run for everyone, and we didn't see any change in results after that.
Well, they couldn't push.
No, and I think Hulkenberg knows better than that, but I don't know if he had much of a choice, but still, it was a crap run. He just, yeah.
It was such a slow motion accident too. Did you see it? Like, he just going towards the wall, and he's going to hit it, and then he just kind of just tapped it enough to break his wing.
Yeah. It was, you could see it, like the understeer was happening, and like you brake a little bit more, but
yeah,
he was obviously going just a bit too fast. But stinker, Hulkenberg, all right. Well, we'll have to tally those up for you guys and get you the updated S3 awards standings.
You keep saying that every week, and I keep forgetting to do it.
It's okay. We'll get it done eventually. Rookie watch. That's up next, and we give. It's just a point to our rookie of the race.
Just to see who ends up on top at the end of the year amongst all the rookies. We got 4 of them this year, so...
Yeah. So we got... Who we got? We got Albon, Giovinazzi, Russell... Is Kubica among the rookies?
I was going to consider it, but you said no to me, so we've got Norris as the 4th one.
And the Norris, right. Okay, well, have you picked your rookie?
Yeah, my rookie...
Was it easy?
Well, I just thought, like I said, it wasn't here or there through the race, but I thought Albon did a pretty solid job through the weekend, so I gave him the point this week.
Yeah, right. I mean, I was about to pick the same thing, because I think he's the highest finishing rookie for Spain in 11th.
Again, that double stack probably cost him 10th.
Yeah, that double stack cost Toro Rosso, I think.
100%. That's what I was saying to you. They just had the wrong tyres the wrong way around.
Yeah, and then like Raikkonen was, I know he's not a rookie, but he was nowhere all weekend. Perez, Giovinazzi was 16th. Russell, Kubica, dead last. Stroll and Norris out. Yeah, it was an interesting one. But yeah, I'll give it to Albon as well. He's had a solid, successful few races now, so he's my point too. Now, we've got to get to the predictions. It's Monaco next, isn't it?
You bloody bugger have got another point on me. You probably don't even realise, do you?
No, where did I get the point?
You picked Max in 3rd.
Oh, did I? Yeah.
Bastard. I've got another big fat 0 with my Ferrari 1-2 prediction.
No, that's just I don't think he'll be making up. Well, I don't know. Is Monaco going to change anything?
This is what I know. It's doing my head in for the predictions because I've had Vettel winning every race so far.
He's just not won a thing.
Nope.
But like street circuit tyres, there could be a hass up there.
I'm just thanking God that you had Leclerc in 4th and Vettel in 5th because you almost jagged that too.
That would have been 3 points.
I know. You're like 5-1 now ahead of me.
Oh, well, my average is good.
Yeah, you're going very well.
Well, we do pick the top 5. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I picked Verstappen for Spain, and you got nothing, I'm assuming.
That's right. I got nothing.
Well, Monaco.
I
haven't actually done it yet, but I'll do it as we're talking.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go first, so you don't copy me.
No, I'm not, I don't copy you.
I've only got 1 point so far, so maybe I should go first, so you can copy me.
Maybe you should. Yeah, because you could interfere with mine thinking. Yeah, first street circuit, Mercedes. I don't know. They like Red Bull last year just dominated, but is Verstappen going to win it? Is he quick enough? You know what? I'm going to go with Verstappen in first.
Oh, you bloody bugger, because that's who I went with.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going off last year's results with Ricciardo. Just the way Red Bull, they always seem to suit the street circuits a little bit more. Whether or not we'll get it this year is going to be seen, but I'll go with Verstappen.
Well, 2 years in a row, Verstappen has binned it in the exact same corner.
Yeah.
And it's coming out
of... Is it in Sandovort?
I thought it was... Is it coming out of Tabac? Where
it is, yeah.
Just clips his left wheel. We say it like it's a regular thing. He just clips his left wheel on the barrier and bounces across to the other side.
He's done it twice.
In a row. Just from what I was saying earlier, without Ricciardo there, he seems a bit more relaxed and driving within himself. So hopefully that carries on to Monaco.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, so maybe that'll play in my favour and get me another point. 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Well, I've called the season as Bottas. I'm going to give Bottas 2nd. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that Bottas is just... There's something in him this year that's different.
By the way,
everyone's noticing it now. Everybody is.
Yeah. I was going to say earlier when we were talking about Mercedes and Ferrari that you've called it. You called Bottas the champion this year.
Yep.
And I'm also calling it, but I'm not calling it for a driver. I'm saying definitely Mercedes have got the Formula One.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the championship. Surprise, surprise. But I will say, I think if Hamilton wins this week, I think he's got the championship. Then I will call it for Hamilton.
Yeah, right. And it's really bad that we can sort of sit here and go, Mercedes have got this 5 races in.
Well, they're 96 points ahead of Ferrari as we sit.
F1 need to look at themselves and be like, we need to fix something here.
2020, man, but I just hope they make the right changes. It doesn't sound like... You know what the problem is? We're getting sidetracked again, but all the team bosses, they're all involved in these discussions for the changes for 2020. I don't understand that, because if you're Ferrari or if you're Mercedes or if you're Red Bull, aren't you going to only be voting for whatever suits you or whatever you want?
Oh, yeah.
Shouldn't Ross Brawn and his cohort be sitting in a locked room away from everyone, making the decisions, and then come out and hand it all out and say, here you go, guys, these are the rules?
Yeah, they should not be giving shit away. I agree. They should be doing... That should be the closest guarded secret in F1. There should be 3 people with the key, and that's it.
That's what I'm saying. And because they're not doing it that way, I'm actually worried that we're not going to get these massive changes that we're hoping for.
That's sort of what happened with these sort of changes that we've got interim changes now. everyone voted on it, and I just feel like Mercedes and Ferrari or whatever had too much of an influence over whatever, and they've gotten what they wanted. So,
as much as you might hear Hamilton saying, "Oh, I want competition, man. I need the competition, man," but do you think Mercedes wants it, or they just want to keep dominating?
Oh, Mercedes. No, I'm sure him as a driver he wants it, but yeah, the team do not care.
100%.
They're loving it. They're loving it.
So you've got Bottas for second.
Yep.
And I have Vettel for second.
Oh, you're still doing that?
I just can't help it.
Okay. I'll give it to you.
Sorry, I'm just writing these down.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
so
I'm
who's
going
your third?
Hamilton third. I think it's just elementary, Watson. It's, like, I think that's a given.
I've got your man Bottas for third.
Yep.
And I've got Hamilton fourth.
Yeah, my fourth. Yeah, see, I'm sort of sticking... I'm like, do I give it to a Haas? I think Vettel fourth for me. Leclerc seems to be riding himself a little bit too hard lately. I think it's sort of hurting
that's
him
what I was saying to you last time, wasn't I?
Yeah, you did. And it's sort of... Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Vettel fourth. And then fifth, Leclerc or somebody else. It's a bit boring, but I think it will be Leclerc.
Okay, well, for
At
me...
least Verstappen's on top.
For me, for fifth, I tossed up between Gasly and Leclerc, and I settled on Gasly. Just hoping that he's starting to build a little bit of confidence.
Yep.
He doesn't really have the speed. It's not a power track. Let's hope he gets the most out of that Red Bull around Monaco.
Yeah, and then if I was to try and do anything underneath that, the best of the rest, it'd be way too hard, and I'm not going to do it. Because sixth onwards...
You'd put Kubica for sixth.
No, you can put Kubica for 23rd.
Alrighty.
F3, did you see F3 was there this week and they had 30 cars on track? Did you see the F3 race?
No, I did not.
30 cars, man. God, that's what we need in F1. We need 30 cars.
You know that.
Anyway, one day.
I'll save it. I was going to say, you go back to a Stroll talk there, but I'm not going to do it.
Not going to do it? All right. Well, that's our predictions and recap, guys. And then, yeah, we've got sim racing and esports news right now.
Yeah, well, we had our FNL1 finale, Season 3 finale last Friday. Unfortunately, we had stream dropouts. And
thank you, Codemasters. Fix your shit. Basically.
That's what we are hoping.
I'm a bit scared about what we're going to get in 2019 because I don't think they're going to fix it.
We can only hope, Josh. We can only hope. I mean, I've
not heard enough. I've not read enough. I've been reading all that I can. I've been going to the media site. I've been reading the press releases. I've been looking into everything that I can. The pictures that are out there. Again, there's still no indication that the stuff that I want, the spectator stuff, is going to be improved. And like, you know how they got that replay function where...
That's what I was going to ask you about, yes.
It's going to be a replay that... it's going to be something we get at the end of a race, I think, where it creates a video... Like on PC, I think you'll be able to export it. I don't think we'll be able to do that on the PlayStation, where you can export it to video, but it'll at least have a video to play. So at least something, I think at the end of the stream, I'll have something to show, like, this is what happened during the race. But I want to replay through the race.
Yeah, I want to have live replays, so when there's an incident, you can go back.
That I can hit. I can, like, because what happens in other games is you hit a button to mark a spot, and then you just hit back 10, 5. I think it's 5, 8, or 13 seconds, and then you just go, and it works perfectly. So. Yeah, I just don't think Codemasters... I just don't trust them. They wrecked Dirt Rally 2 for me. I don't... They've got a lot... They've got a lot to prove to me, that's all.
Yeah, I definitely get your skepticism with them, but
the game I think will be great. I think the single-player game will be absolutely one of the best. But they're going to let us down in other spots.
That's the problem because they stuffed our stream on Friday. I mean, we've tried.
Was it a good finish to the race? I didn't get to hear what happened.
Well, the wrap up of season 3 is in the end. Yayo won the race.
Yep.
Marcus, aka the Kid, finished second, and Zen finished third. So now what that meant for
first third.
So what that meant for the championship? Obviously, Zen had the championship wrapped up, but Marcus and Yayo finished equal on points second. So on a count back, Yayo had 2 wins, so he got second. So he gets the Mercedes drive next season, and Marcus is going to have to give up the Merc for a Ferrari next season.
Oh wow! So that's actually that. Yeah, see, that's a story we missed.
That's right. We had to have to have a count back.
You wrecked our league, you bastards.
So
anyway,
I will be filling the Red Bull seat next season. So which is season 4. We're going to have a 21 race season, and we start in on June 14 in Canada. We're going to mirror the real season. So it's a Canadian Grand Prix the weekend before, and we're going to race on the following Friday. So we're just going to follow the F1 calendar. When they have double headers, we'll have double headers. At the end of the season, we'll make up for the ones that we finished that we missed before Canada. So basically, Monaco will be our last race, and then we'll be ready for season 5 when Australia kicks off, and we'll go from there.
It's going to be awesome. Now, I haven't written it down, but you remember I mentioned the virtual racing last week?
Yes.
For Formula E? I got to play it this week, and it was very, very interesting. So you have to be awake when the real race is happening. I mean, you can practice anytime you want, but it's not the proper thing. So anyway, the race is happening. You've got about 15 minutes. You get into a lobby. You wait till the race. And what's interesting, you can hear, it's not the same commentary, but there's a commentator who's talking about what's happening in your race, so the top times, and he's talking about the real race happening in the real world. So he's giving you like the lineup, the qualifying, anything that's happening, the practice times that are coming in, the top 10, those guys. And then the real race starts and he commentates what's happening there, and then he commentates the times that are coming through. And like I was like, and it goes for 45 minutes on your phone.
So while you're playing, you're getting commentary of the race that you're in.
You're getting commentary of the race that you're in, plus the real Formula E race that they're using the telemetry to superimpose other cars on the track that you're racing. So that's
and are these cars ghosted or?
Yes, it's weird. You can draft them, and you can't ghost directly from the back because you'll get. I stuffed up and did that, and I got hit and spun around, so it wrecked up my first lap, and I was chasing them ever since. So it was a bit annoying, but if you come in from the side, it ghosts. So if you're a little bit, to the left or right, you can go straight through them. It works quite well. I'm still a bit iffy if I like to use you either tilt the screen or the buttons, because the buttons don't seem as responsive as the screen does, but the screen's a little bit sickening. I think they should let you use a controller or something, but that's weird. But yeah, it goes for 45 minutes, so it goes for the full length of the race that's happening in real life. I got lapped twice by the real field of Formula E because I was just bouncing off the walls in Monaco. I think I came 48th overall, and you can use the speed boost, the fan boost. He'll be like, they'll give out I think we got 10 minutes in. He's like, there's been no red flag, guys, so we're giving everybody a fan boost. And so that gives you a turbo for 10 seconds or something like that. But it was really interesting, and it was an interesting way to interact with Formula E because we don't get it live anymore in Australia. So I was still sitting there listening to the real race happening, but I was playing it at the same time, if you know what I mean. And
is it not broadcast on Foxtel Live anymore?
No, they do it delayed. I don't know why. I don't know if it's on free-to-air TV live, but I don't think so. But yeah, but I just Formula E, they just do stuff different, and
you follow it more than me. But I think
I like it.
Do they do it live on YouTube?
No, what they do what I used to do with F1, right? They do what I kind of wanted to do with F1, where I used to if you don't know,
timing
I used to commentate.
sheets.
used to commentate every race, and I used to basically just be a audio commentary. But what they do, they get these YouTube stars. I don't know who the F they are, honestly, and they get a few of the analysts that F Formula E have. You see them around. I think one guy's from Autosport as well, and they sit there and they talk about the races that's happening. So when it first happened, it was just gross. Everybody, like, they hyped it up as this really exciting thing. Like, they sit there and they talk about it. It's like, you know how we have reactions for gaming and YouTube videos and stuff like that? They tried to do something like that with Formula E. You don't get to watch the race. They're sitting there watching because you obviously don't have the rights to show it. But this is Formula E streaming these people, and it just seemed fake, like the way they were reacting, the way they were talking. Then the analyst guy would come on and talk, and like that seemed a little bit more down to earth. But then you get these two, YouTube stars. Again, I don't know who they were, and it was just so plastic.
Okay.
I don't know if they do it anymore, but if they do, Formula E, you need to stop it. It's embarrassing. Anyway, that's my opinion on that.
The virtual racing.
I like the game. I like the game. I would like F1 to make a good game, and I know you've got the mobile game out there, which I'm actually reviewing, but yeah, I don't know. Have you played the F1 mobile game, which came out on the 10th?
I thought it came out today. I just seen it on my...
It was released on the 10th, so it was released just before the Spanish Grand Prix.
Oh, okay. I only just downloaded it this afternoon. It's F1 Manager, guys. It's available on mobile on iOS and Android. Yeah, so
it's a free game. It's if you've played Motorsport Manager, it's similar, but Motorsport Manager costs $5 or $6. If you can't get money, if you can't pay $5 or $6, this is probably a good replacement. But if you've got $5 or $6 handy, go buy Motorsport Manager. Yeah,
because I played my Motorsport Manager quite a bit actually, and then when I saw this, I went, "Oh, okay, I'll just download it," and that's why I thought I'd mention it. I've no idea, but you're obviously saying
the good thing about the official F1 game is everything's licensed. So they've got the official tracks, they've got all the cars. At the moment, there's a dual mode which is available. So you have two cars. It's two. I'm not going to explain it all here, but you have drivers. And then you recruit them into your team, and then you go off duel. So you'll have your team versus another team on a Grand Prix weekend, and then it's who beats who through that weekend. So the constructor points at the end. So if you come first and last, and they come, say, fourth and fifth in that race, they're going to beat you for that weekend. And they'll get the money that you put into the pot, and they'll get the race
so it's kind of like a little bit of gambling or betting going on too.
It's a free-to-play game, so there's that side of it as well. There's a Grand Prix mode that's not available yet, so I can't explain it. But the dual mode is you go up against another player, you put money into a pot, and then the money. But that's the thing: the money can be used to upgrade your driver, your car, your parts of your team, things like that. So you need the money.
Free, guys.
You need money to enter races. It's a free-to-play game. They want you to pay money to. It's what they call a fee to win. So if there are people out there that just get addicted to it and they put a lot of money into it, they're going to be beating you. Okay, and I've already seen incidents of that happening where, like, my cars will just, I'll just get damage or I'll need repairs when I've clearly got the faster cars out there. But for some reason, these guys have. It's just annoying. The game is made for people that pay.
Okay, well...
And I'm really frustrated with F1 because they had a really good opportunity here.
Yeah, well, so it sounds like what we want is Motorsport Manager to become the actual official licensed game, not this one.
Yeah, if Motorsport Manager got the official license, it would be perfect.
That's because I just hate the fake names and stuff. Otherwise, I really love that game.
Yeah, that's the really good thing about the official one. Everything's licensed. They've got all the tracks, all the proper names, all the drivers, all the teams. But it's got that it's got that microtransaction grossness to it. But then you go and play the Formula E game, and that's not that's part of it. But I didn't have to pay any money, and everyone's on an equal level when I did the real race, and that's what matters. So yeah, I don't know. Formula E and Formula One, they're sort of on the same path, but Formula E seem to be a little bit more hungry. Formula One, seem to be a little bit more hungry for money.
Well, moving from that, the
sorry, that was a bit of a rant.
The ghosting,
but I'll have a full review out sometime soon.
The ghosting Formula E game. I wonder if down the future, if that's a possibility where we can be sitting in our rigs and racing in the same race that Lewis Hamilton and Kimi Raikkonen are racing in, and not on a mobile phone. I want to be doing it on my rig.
Well, I think the phone is just like a proof of concept first.
So maybe there is.
And I think they're onto something. I really think they're onto something there, and it wasn't too laggy. Like the telemetry was almost real time as well. So whatever they've done, Virtually Live, the company that did it, whatever they've done, I think we'll see it in the future with proper titles where you can sit in your proper rig and use your wheel and console or whatever, VR rig and stuff.
Well, just quickly to wrap it up there, I've got two more things just to mention. I noticed on the end plates of the Haas rear wing that they had Peak antifreeze sponsorship, and I recognise that logo. What's that from? And that's the Peak series in iRacing. So they're obviously linking with Formula One there with the Haas team, and then it got me thinking. So there's not really much of these sim companies. Like you don't see Fanatec on an F1 car, or even PlayStation, or Codemasters. They're the official game. I haven't seen them on a car or anywhere. Like it's just got me thinking. Like I don't know why they don't take advantage of the sponsorship opportunities.
I don't know. I think they must be because their niche, their market is in the game, not. I don't know. Interesting though. And you're right. That is a iRacing series. Yes.
Yeah, it just caught my attention. Just something off the cuff. And I picked myself up a VR headset last week. And
how'd you like it? Did you blow your mind?
It really did.
It's effing amazing.
I've heard so much about it, and I've always said I want to have triple screens, which eventually I probably will have.
Yeah,
but
what would you do now that you've had a VR?
Well, I'm a bit of a what's the word? Like, I love the resolution of the screens. Like the 4K.
Yeah, you don't get that on the VR, do you?
That's the
biggest problem.
And I knew that
screen effect.
Yes, and that's why I've held off for so long from getting it. But this one come along, so I picked it up. Yep. And but when I put it on and I got it all set up, it's just wow! It's just like I really didn't have words for it because it was my first ever experience of it. And being in your rig, and when you've got that VR headset on your face, and you can see the steering wheel with the car that you're in and the hands
and it
moving.
matches up to what you're doing.
Exactly with what you're matching up. It kind of just really plays with your brain. And you're looking around and you're looking. I was in the Ferrari.
Like you can touch shit. And
exactly right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It really plays with your brain. And I'm in the Ferrari 488 GT3 and I'm having a good look around. And it almost makes me want to reach out for the center console or, it's just...
It tricks your brain.
Yeah, I haven't really had a lot of time with it yet. But there's more to come. Like I'll give a bit more of a review on it. But for anyone out there who's umming and ahhing, and if you can come across, a cheaper one just to try rather than forking out $1,000 or whatever it is for really one of the better ones, it's definitely worth a try.
Yeah, it is. Even on the I've only got it on the PlayStation, but it it just freaking blows your mind. Just the stuff that it can do, and. Like GT Sport has the VR mode, and you can only get to race another car, but still you get the feeling of going through the Bathurst and the Nürburgring, and it's got that extra depth perception. It's unreal. But yeah, the reason Assetto Corsa never really did VR on, especially the consoles, was because of resolution. You did mention that, and that's an important thing in racing, especially, is because you need to be able to see that detail. And I think on the PC it's good enough, but I think that's what's holding back the console VR anyway.
I think it's just the performance needed, like some of the...
It costs a lot of money.
but the performance from the graphics card, like that's required, especially for the more higher end VRs, like
like
you really need a decent computer to be able to run it,
whatever it's called, because there's like VR sets that can cost you back like $2,000.
Yeah, so I thought I'd give it a crack, and I was blown away. And as any true Aussie, we've done plenty of laps around Mount Panorama, and that was obviously one of my go-tos. I jumped in the Ferrari and I went around there, and it's like no other lap I've ever done. Like, it was just like
it's like being there.
Not just going down that dipper, and you actually get that sensation. Yeah. And okay, I didn't lose my stomach, but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, Dirt Rally VR as well, another one to try out if you've got it. It's freaking amazing. It is bloody amazing. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. But I reckon triple screens would be what I do if I was to invest money.
Yeah, it's just
just my opinion.
The footprint required for it, and convincing the wife.
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
That's why I use a 32-inch curved monitor at the moment, and when I bought that was my intention that I will eventually get 2 more and then have 3 32-inch curved monitors just wrapped around me, and that's the end goal, but let's see when we get there.
Fair enough. Yeah, good luck with that. Now, we usually wrap up the Fantasy League. I haven't actually been able to look at it because I can't log into mine to have a look. I don't know if you've been able to get any updates from it, Aussie, for us?
You, this week, are running 8th now on 663 points, and I am running 10th at 632. I had a pretty bad weekend this week. I had Kimi Räikkönen as my turbo driver, and he ran wide and running last after lap 1. Did not help me at all.
Nope. What did I get?
I didn't change the Ferraris, so I still had them as my constructor. So
I totally forgot to change mine again.
But I think you did well.
Yeah, Fiat worked, and I don't know what else I've got in the team. I think Perez might be there.
The leader in our group is on 799 points, which is the Boom. Just ahead of East Coast Auto on 781, and in third,
still up there.
And in third is Riccio Rogers 09, who is on 717. So it's all pretty close up the top there.
Nice. Well, I'm glad I'm ahead of you at least, because you were ahead of me last week.
Yeah, I had a shocker week this week.
But I've got no real. I think if you don't have Mercedes at this point in the fantasy, it's probably a good buy if you can afford it.
I think I'm going to change it this week.
I just think, because I think I've got Mercedes as my constructor.
You do.
And Verstappen wouldn't be a bad one to have either. He's been pretty consistent. So, yeah, that'll be my tips. But, yeah, I don't know if you've got anything else to add to it, but we're getting near the end of the podcast this week. Yeah, no, just 2 more things just to mention. One thing that came on my radar this week is that there's a Schumacher movie / documentary coming out in December, which I thought was quite exciting because it's actually endorsed by the family and it's getting made by some award-winning German movie makers. So that should be a very interesting thing to have a look at once it comes out. Yeah, it should be. Sorry.
Because he turns 50 in January, so they want to bring it out for his 50th.
Oh, right. Okay. I was wondering what the occasion was.
That's the occasion there.
Hopefully we'll see him again.
Well, that's what the first thing my wife said. She said, is he going to be in it? I said, well, I don't know in his current state if he'll be in it, but I'm sure
maybe we'll get an update on his position. Who knows?
Yeah. So because they're very private about it. We don't really hear anything, do we? So
no, they keep it pretty tight-lipped.
And one other thing we have to mention is, did anyone see those trophies at Spain?
Yeah, they were crap.
I said to Josh, it was like, the podium was like, oh crap, we forgot to get trophies. Quick, let's 3D print some. They were just, they were laughable.
Oh, they were, like little wooden, like first and second. The constructor one was even worse.
Oh, I don't know what they were thinking. Some of these places, the trophies that they come out with. Yeah,
over the years, the Monaco one is usually pretty good. But yeah, so over the years, some of them are just terrible, absolutely laughable. I just can't. I know there's been some funny ones over the years, but there's definitely ones that the drivers want to get. I just can't remember what. I think Silverstone might be one. I can't remember, but anyway. But yeah, Barcelona failed hard.
I tell you what, Josh. One day when we're up there and we're in the paddock pass with our media pass around our necks, and I get a hold of one of these drivers, someone like a Lewis or a Bottas, that's one of the first questions I'm going to ask them. What is the worst trophy you've ever got?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. In F1.
Yes, in F1.
Not because I know there's some weird ones in other categories, but F1, just bizarre.
Because it got me thinking of like Lewis Hamilton's trophy. I was going to say cabinet, but he's probably got a trophy room. I just wonder if like some of them he says, I don't want to keep that one, and he actually tosses it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh.
Like I wouldn't keep that Barcelona one. That was just bad.
So.
It just looks like plastic, man. But anyway.
Yeah, well, that pretty much wrapped up Spain, exactly.
Yeah, it was. It was interesting. It was boring. It was frustrating. It was. Yeah, it was a lot of different things, but one thing it wasn't that memorable, unfortunately.
Definitely not.
Here we are at the end of another podcast, episode 6. It's amazing.
We might actually have a special Monaco one out next week. We'll see if we can get our stuff organised in time, just before the race. So, I said next week. Sorry, the week after that, before the race.
Yep.
Monaco's a bit unique. They have practice on Thursday. Friday is an off day, so we're going to try to get out a quick little pre-Monaco episode.
Yeah, we did say earlier in the year we're going to do a live one, but there's too much going on in my life and everyone else's life right now to just don't have time. Hopefully, maybe next year we'll do it, but it's definitely something on the radar. But yeah, we'll get a special podcast out for you guys, and yeah, so keep around for that. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Don't forget you've got the Discord. You've got a website now, fnl1esports.com, so that makes everything easy.
Yeah, and you can check out demo1garage.com as well, and check out our...
Don't worry about me for now. I'm so busy with stuff. There's not much going on. But
Josh is busy renovating his new house.
Yeah.
So he can move in.
Pretty much doing it all by myself at the moment. But yeah, until I've moved in, there's not going to be much on my side of things. I'll have a website that gets launched once I'm moved in. There'll be more streaming on my thing. Obviously, we've got the FNL1 stuff that'll start every Friday from
June 14. We're going to actually run not every Friday anymore. We're going to, like I said to you, we're going to follow the calendar. So
sorry, yeah.
We'll get a week off between races. And we're going to do full quali this time round. So we're going to have a Q3, Q1, Q2, Q3. So
yeah. So, and yeah, hopefully
more to come. We'll let you guys know. Get
some more budget into the broadcast. But anyway, that's the podcast, guys. And
all right.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for hanging with us. And thanks for talking to me tonight, Aussie. I'm tired. I'm going to probably bail pretty quickly after this.
Alrighty, well, I'm Dr. Aussie, and we're done with another episode. Until the next one, push it to the limit and keep it on track.
That's it, guys. Race hard on the edge. My name's Josh. Bye-bye. Catch you then.